everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Comic Chaser. I'm, of course, your host, Jay, and welcome to my weekly comic review countdown series, where I basically arrange whatever I got off of my pull list this week by the book I enjoyed the least to, at the very end, telling you what I believe the best comic of the week was for me. So, let's go ahead and get started. Before we get started, though, there is some pretty huge news that I want to talk about. The first of the Marvel DC crossovers has officially been announced, and it is Batman, shocker, and Deadpool. That one honestly did surprise me because, Deadpool has gotten popular over like the past decade or so. Like, even more popular than before. But, that was one I didn't expect. But there is a lot of interesting crossover potential because, Batman does have a very expansive universe. And Batman Deadpool could also mean, Harley Quinn interactions, Joker interactions. But the thing that has me the most interested in it is that I think on the DC side of things, Grant Morrison will be the one writing one of the DC side of the crossover. So I'm like, ooh, Grant Morrison writing Deadpool. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I think that's going to be really interesting to see. But looking forward to it. I mean, I knew one of these had to be a Batman related one. I was kind of hoping it was going to be Bendis at least, finally doing Batman Daredevil, but it is what it is. You can't always get what you want, but this might be what we need. Who knows? I'm rooting for it. I'm just happy that we're actually getting intercompany crossovers in general, so let's go. It's going to celebrate it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the reviews. As per usual, spoiler warning for all the books I'm about to cover, so if you have not read any of these comics, do yourself a favor, drop by your local comic shop and pick up some comics, man. It is a great time to be a comic fan. We have a pretty nice stack of comics. We've got 9 books to cover, so this is going to be another long episode, so kick back, grab a snack, and get ready to listen to me yap about comic books. Let's go ahead and kick it off with Batman Hatoosh, Part 3. I think this is Batman 160? Not a fan, though. Not a fan. I honestly can say, now that we're halfway through this 6-issue arc / miniseries, I hate it. I hate it. This feels out of date. Everybody's written out of character. Heart of Hush, probably my favorite Hush-related story outside of the original, has not been referenced at all. The only reason I'm reading this is because everything looks absolutely spectacular, because it's drawn by Jim Lee, the GOAT. But other than that, the story just, I don't know, what Jeff Loeb is on, but this feels like this was a story that was in a drawer and has kind of been sitting there for 15 years, and he finally got a chance to publish it, because this story feels really out of date. This feels like Jeff Loeb didn't read anything that's been going on in the, greater Batman universe, and so none of it's acknowledged. Jason is backsliding once again. They just got cool after Zur-En-Arrh Batman, Fear Talks and Jason, and he went through all that bullshit with the Gotham War. They're cool again now, only for this to happen. I'm just so upset. I'm so upset. We finally have our Bat family in a decent place. Nice setup for, Fraction's Batman run. Only for, Hatoosh to just shit on it. I don't know, man. I'm not a fan. But I'm gonna ride this arc out to the end because Jim Lee's art is phenomenal, and it is a rare chance to see Jim Lee art. So I'm gonna stick with it just for the art, honestly. A book that I really do like, but I will be dropping once the arc wraps up because like there are just so many books out. I gotta make some cuts, and as fun as this book is, like I can't. I had to like make some cuts on some books that I enjoy but can definitely be cool with reading and trade, and it is Deadpool Wolverine, written by Ben Percy. This book is awesome. I want to say like I'm not. This isn't towards the bottom of the pile because the book sucks. This book is so dope. This feels like it transports me right back to the '90s as a kid, like watching the X-Men animated series or reading like '90s back issues because I was born in '94, so I wasn't like alive and like conscious reading '90s X-Men. I was reading huge piles of '90s X-Men back issues that my uncle and dad collected. But you know, still big childhood nostalgia factor, including Strife, Maverick, and of course, Deadpool, Wolverine, and like just even the title of this arc, like the rise of the Executioners, bringing back that whole pattern of Executioner song and stuff like that. It's fun. We have like techno organic zombies, and of course, because Strife is involved, Apocalypse is involved as well, and the cliffhanger is really dope too. Wolverine once again becomes a horseman. I mean, it happens all the time because Wolverine is just that guy, but still, this feels classic. This feels fun. This is like the comic book equivalent to a fun, like 90s popcorn action flick. I have a blast. And I'm going to ride this arc out until it finishes, and then probably going to drop the series from there. But I will say, no disrespect to Benjamin Percy. Benjamin Percy, I've had a blast with this series if you happen to be watching this. And, this is a double dose week of Benjamin Percy stuff. And I've enjoyed both, for sure. One we will see much later in the pile, but, not to disrespect Deadpool Wolverine. I thought this book was awesome. Another book that I like, but I'm still kind of struggling to like wrap my head around for real, is Absolute Martian Manhunter. This is written by Dennis Camp with art by Javier Rodriguez. I think the art is really interesting and beautiful. I love actually like the lettering and how like they place the thoughts all throughout the art. Lettering is a very underrated art in terms of comic books, so like shout out to the letterer as well. And this is more of this feels like a procedural, and like I enjoy procedurals. I growing up I watched a lot of Law and Order SVU, NCIS, stuff like that, CSI. This feels like that, but with a lot of different sci-fi elements and like Jean and the Martian kind of bonding together. And that dynamic almost feels like a non-corruptive version of the Venom dynamic, where like the Martian is like actually trying to help John with his job, and like he's also dealing with his family drama of like feeling detached after his accident and not really willing to open up emotionally and like talk to his wife and connect with his son. And the White Martian is finally making itself known and hunting down our Martian Manhunter. So the plot is really starting to kick forward. I think it's really good, but this is definitely a slow burn. Because this is a 12-issue maxi series, I'm going to continue to read the single issues, but I have a feeling that this will read a lot smoother in trade than it does in floppies. And again, no disrespect to Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez. I praised the fuck out of Dennis Camp last week for Ultimates, and like this book is still good, But this feels like it would definitely be a way better trade read than it is reading month to month. Because, like, month to month, you gotta have to, like, I have to go back and read previous issues, which I know, like, first world problem. You gotta go back and read an issue from a month ago. But, like, with the amount of books that comes out, it's really hard to keep track of this stuff. And, like, there isn't enough here to be like, oh yeah, I remember that happened. Like, Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman have these big moments of, oh shit, okay. So the last thing that happened to Absolute Superman is Brainiac getting kryptonite and turning Peacemaker into Metallo. The last thing that happened in Absolute Wonder Woman is her basically gaming Hades and getting an opportunity to visit her mother at least once a year in the underworld, in the Wild Isles. And now she's, taking on a new arc. Last thing that happened in Absolute Batman, taking on Mr. Freeze. There's nothing really memorable here until the end where we actually get the reveal of the White Martian finally mobilizing and making their move. So, we'll see how this goes. I feel like this is the turning point, even though we're only 3 out of 12. We're not even, like, halfway. But, still, I think this is a good book. But, like, if you haven't started picking this up yet, wait for it in trade. I think it'll be a good one. All right, a book that I feel like is underrated. Now, I don't see many people talking about the X-Men solo books, but I've enjoyed both of the ones that I'm reading, the Magik and the Psylocke one. And this is, of course, the Magik one, written by Ashley Allen, and with art by Peralta. I think it's Hernan Peralta, once again. And this is the J. Scott Campbell cover. I really like this. This is the end of the Liminal arc, and I think it was really dope. It feels very anime-esque. This reminded me a lot of Bleach. Like, Magik essentially has her equivalent of Ichigo's inner world conversation, where she actually has a conversation with Darkchild, and she starts to understand that Darkchild isn't just the darker side of herself, it's the side of herself that was created to protect her as a child while she was in limbo, fighting against these demons. So, Magik learns to fully embrace both sides of herself. She's in full control of Darkchild, and I'm not gonna lie, Marvel Rivals has rotted my brain a little bit, because once they reach this full power completed Darkchild mode, I immediately yelled, "Behold, Darkchild," when she started to pop off. I've loved Magik for a long time. She's one of my favorite characters because just her power set is so cool. She's got the big sword, she can teleport with her stepping disc, she's got literal legions of demons, and she can transform into basically a hollow form with again, Bleach comparisons. I'm a Bleach fan. I like characters with big swords. What can I say? The only thing I don't like here is it feels like manufactured conflict between Danny Moonstar and Magik. If you read New Mutants back in the day, these two are best friends. I don't understand why Danny couldn't just have a conversation with Magik and be honest with her and be like, yo, Yana, Darkchild, I'm going to be for real with you. Darkchild still scares the fuck out of me after all these years. I mean, can you blame me after all we've been through? I'm gonna need Cal to just keep an eye on you just in case shit pops off. It's not that I don't trust you, I just want to be cautious. They could have just had a conversation like adults, and they wouldn't have this tension there. Now, I get it, conflict, moves story forward, and it helps to improve Ileana's character, but they've had this song and dance for so long, I don't think Danny and Ileana need this. But one thing that I do like that they highlight in this that is really underrated that never really gets spotlighted or talked about is the like big brother relationship that Ileana has with Scott, which is huge because Colossus is AWOL and currently still a bad guy, I believe, because I remember he like went rogue and like sided with Mikhail and like did all this crazy shit. So Ileana hasn't had her biological big brother in a while, and Scott has kind of filled that role, not only as her team leader but as a friend. And she's really down after like all this stuff with Danny and like everything she went through with Darkchild. So Scott literally just kind of sits there, like lets her vent and makes her pancakes to help her feel better. It's such a sweet, wholesome big brother move, and I love that. And I can't wait to see what happens next. They tease for the next arc. Ileana's going to be going up against Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen. I'm excited. I can't wait to see Peralta's take on that art-wise. Because, again, the art in this is also really solid. My only real complaint is, like, with as much build-up as Liminal had throughout this arc, the battle itself was a little anticlimactic. No, don't get me wrong. Like, the build-up to the transformation and, like, Ileana fully bonding and accepting the Darkchild was awesome. But then, like, Liminal was just kind of, like, handled, like, no problem. Like, there wasn't, like, still a big struggle. It was just, oh, I got my power up. This is easy now. Which, again, reminds me very much of Bleach. But as fun as it is, I still gotta call it out that was a little bit anticlimactic. But the character development on Ileana was a lot more important, so I'm gonna let it slide. But still, gotta call it out still. If you are a fan of Ileana Rasputin as a character, and you aren't reading Magik, you're really missing out. This is a great series. Next up, we're continuing on the X train here with Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, issue number 2. This is written by Chris Claremont with art by Crucero. I apologize if I mispronounce your name. This is the second issue of the Wolverine and Kitty Pryde series, which is the sequel to Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, the series from the 80s. So this takes place within that time period, I think about a year after the events of Kitty Pryde and Wolverine. So they are still in Japan, and they are basically trying to train Kitty to hone the ninja skills that she learned from Ogon without having to, like, fully tap into Ogon's darker impulses. Now, they did exercise Ogon, so they don't have to worry about him fully possessing Kitty's body anymore. But, she still has to really hone those skills if she wants to be in control and also, like, use those skills for the good of all of mutant kind and humankind. But also, this is a point in Kitty's life where Kitty is just kind of sick of having the weight of the world on her shoulders as a superhero, and she just wants to be a normal girl, so she takes this time in Japan to, like, hang out with Wolverine and Mariko's adoptive daughter, go to school there, have a bit of a normal life. But of course, that's interrupted when they get attacked by a mysterious assailant that basically sends them into a, like, I don't know if it's another dimension or a mental illusion, because Kitty did actually get injured, but they get sent to what seems like feudal Japan, and they end up fighting the Snow Samurai, which is where the first issue ended, and that battle basically continues. Kitty gets really roughed up. She has to recover, and then by the end, their real opponent shows their face, and it's really interesting. What I really like about this issue is that Kitty's father is much more involved in this. and we get to see a lot of their dynamic fleshed out, and really kind of like what shapes Kitty as a hero, and like Kitty's father's experiences in the war, which has to be adjusted every time via sliding time scale with Charles Xavier, and his bond with Charles Xavier, what makes him so sympathetic to mutant kind, and also like understanding the trauma that Kitty has to go through, because like it or not, Kitty herself is basically a soldier fighting for the cause of mutant human coexistence. So like he totally gets it, and he tries to help her understand that this is it's just a greater purpose that you're meant for, and it just comes with the territory. You've got to deal with it, but you have a good support system with you. You have people that care about you, that want to see you succeed, like me, like Logan, like Mariko and Yukio. So we've got your back, and if current day X-Men is any indication, we know that Kitty makes it through and like does come out the other side as one of the greatest X-Men of all time. Personally, my favorite X-Men, despite her problematic history of using certain slurs. I'm still looking at you sideways for that one, Mr. Claremont. But yeah, I thought this series is really good. It's a nice throwback, and I'm enjoying this. It feels very nostalgic. I'm not an 80s baby. I was born in the 90s. But again, I grew up reading tons and tons of X-Men back issues from that time period, and I actually have the entirety of the original Kitty Pryde and Wolverine miniseries as well. So, one of my absolute favorites. Like, Kitty is my favorite X-Men. So, like, huge shout out to Chris Claremont for continuing this classic story. Alright, next up we have Daredevil Cold Day in Hell, issue number 2 of 3. And this is written by Charles Soule with art by the legendary Steve McNiven of Old Man Logan fame, which I didn't really bring up in the last review last month, but so I'm making that correction now, because both Steve McNiven and Charles Soule kind of like work equally on the story, and you can tell with this because this book is not like bogged down with dialogue. Not that Charles Soule has ever been like overly wordy, but the art does a good amount of the storytelling along with the dialogue as well, as it should always with comic books. But this definitely, you could tell that like there's a lot more visual storytelling elements in here, which is great. So to recap, this takes place in an alternate timeline where some kind of conflict happens that ends up wiping out the powers of most of the Marvel superhuman community. And so an event happens later on at some point in the future where Daredevil is now a priest, but he ends up trying to fight some thugs just because, he still has that spirit of a hero in him. And he gets caught up in this explosion that kills Steve Rogers, because Steve Rogers gives his life to save a young girl who is apparently very important. She is the MacGuffin of this 3-issue miniseries. And this explosion also gives Daredevil back his powers, but temporarily, because they are quickly fading, as he can tell already. And so he has to go after the gang that kidnapped this young girl that Steve Rogers was trying to save. And of course, that gang is Bullseye's Triple Ring Gang, as we saw at the end of the first issue. And Bullseye has, Frank all messed up and, chained down in his creepy basement as, a weird, macabre, barely living trophy. And this girl is apparently the key and his proof of concept that he does have ways to basically reactivate powers of people in the world, or at least give powers to people in this world of now powerless super people. So, really interesting. And this issue, of course, it's not a Daredevil story if you don't run into everybody's favorite red clad assassin lady, Elektra, who has not aged a day, and she keeps referring to herself as the Beast. So, does that mean she's in full control of the hand in this timeline, and she's like using some kind of hand equivalent of the Lazarus Pit? Like, last time I checked, the hand didn't have some kind of form of eternal youth and immortality like that. I was like, that feels more League of Assassins, but I could be wrong, and I could be missing something in terms of my hand slash chased lore. If anybody knows this, if there's something I'm missing, please tell me in the comments. I'm always down to learn more information, especially when it comes to lore and stuff. But yeah, it was cool seeing Elektra and Matt team up again. She even makes him the offer that she could, give him the powers back permanently, and they could be back to where they were. So, like, yeah, it feels like she does have some kind of Lazarus Pit type thing. I want to know what that's about. But Daredevil goes to Foggy to try and get information on the Triple Ring Gang. He gets the info, and now he's on his way to take down his arch nemesis, Bullseye. Good old fashioned Daredevil versus Bullseye throwdown is how this 3-issue miniseries is going to end, and I'm here for it. I love that this book is here for a good time and not a long time. This book is very fast paced, action packed, gives you enough world building to help you understand, but gives you enough to also have more questions to want to read more. It's a great balance, and again, it's only 3 issues, so it's here for a good time, not a long time, beginning, middle, end. I love it. As a Daredevil fan who has been sorely missing Old Hornhead because I have not been a personal fan of Solid Ahmed's run, no disrespect to Solid and Ahmed, I think you've done other great works, but your Daredevil just isn't my bag. I've been looking for other places to get my Daredevil fix. Recently I read the Daredevil Unleash Hell miniseries starring Elektra's Daredevil by Erica Schultz, and now I'm reading Daredevil Cold Day in Hell. Eventually I'll have to find something to get my Daredevil fix. Once Ahmed run finishes, I'll probably pick up the next run after that, but until then, we'll just have to keep picking up these minis. But this is one hell of a ride, pun entirely intended. If you haven't picked this up and you are a Daredevil fan, I highly recommend it. Alright, we're nearing the end of the pile here, folks, and here is our second instance of Ben Percy with that double dose of Ben Percy that I was talking about. Predator versus Spider-Man. The first issue blew me away, and I gotta say, man, that second issue just continues the trend. And Marcelo Ferreira, oh my goodness, the art is phenomenal. We find out kind of more about what's going on. So this Predator that we're dealing with is kind of a rogue, exiled, disgraced Predator, and that's why he's so obsessed with skinning people and doing these macabre trophies and kind of just all these disrespectful, ritualistic serial killer-esque displays that feels very much against the Predator slash Yakuza. I still don't like that alien race name. Honor code. So, of course, Pete is doing his thing, trying to figure out the origin of this place. Meanwhile, Kraven is also tracking down the Predator, and it has now become a race to who can hunt down this otherworldly Predator between Kraven and Spider-Man, which is always fun. And, of course, Mary Jane is also trying to escape and dodge the Predator as well. It was stalking her last issue, and now she is trying to help her friend, kind of get to somewhere safe. This reminds me of, the Mary Jane missions from the Insomniac Spider-Man games. Which, by the way, the ones in Insomniac Spider-Man 2 aren't bad. Now that she has like more combat upgrades, like it feels less like a chore to play as Mary Jane. I actually had a lot of fun playing as Mary Jane in Insomniac Spider-Man 2. That's neither here nor there. But basically, we get one hell of a cliffhanger with a hunting party coming after this rogue predator. So it's not Spider-Man is probably going to team up with these predator bounty hunters who are trying to collect this rogue predator, and then deal with that. Meanwhile, Kraven is going to try to hunt them all. It's going to be wild. This book is so dope. This is everything I wanted from a Predator Spider-Man crossover, and it looks absolutely spectacular. Pun intended. If you are a Spider-Man fan, if you love Predator, totally worth reading. I really enjoyed this a lot. I didn't think Percy could top Predator versus Wolverine, but here we are. I think this has the makings of either being at least on the very same level of Predator versus Wolverine, which is the tippy top, or even, dare I say it, possibly exceeding Predator versus Wolverine. We'll have to see. But the Predator Versiverse has been really killing it recently, so definitely looking forward to more. But we have not stopped with talking about Spider-Man, because next up we're talking about Ultimate Spider-Man, issue number 17. We find out even more about the Mysterios and the Mysterio fraternity, society, whatever you want to call it. And boy, this web runs deep, because so many people turn out to be Mysterios. It's like, you're a Mysterio, you're a Mysterio. But, like, long story short, we find out Robbie Robertson is a Mysterio, and that's how Gwen Stacy was able to get her information. And also, there is a Mysterio within Kingpin's organization itself, as, of course, Mr. Wesley. If you're familiar with Kingpin at all, or even just with the Marvel Netflix series, Wesley is Wilson Fisk's right-hand man. And it turned out he's a Mysterio. And so now, Gwen is using her connections and the amulet that had been given to her for a week to make her move to, go to war with Fisk and, basically take him down. Which will be, in turn, a huge blow to the House of Cards that the maker has built up with this whole overarching big structure of the different regions controlling the various territories all throughout the world. So this will be very interesting. I want to see, finally, Ultimate Spider-Man tying back into the greater Ultimate Universe, because I feel like Dennis Camp has been carrying it all on his own, and I want Spider-Man to finally make an impact here. And I was not expecting this to happen this fast, but by the end of the issue, Harry reveals to Pete that he is actually still alive, and that he needs Pete to come home ASAP, because he needs him here, because he realizes now that Gwen is willing to take things a little too far. And even though Harry, last issue with Kraven, was willing to take Kraven out, he sees that Gwen is even willing to accept collateral damage in this war, which is something Harry can't abide by. He can abide by, like, killing bad guys, but, if they absolutely have to. But innocent lives getting in the way is where he draws the line. I also love that we also, get a further explanation of the Norman AI, and this is essentially, good old toxic dad Norman being that corrupting goblin voice, and hopefully Pete will be able to help push him through it, be his anchor, because, Pete is his best friend, and they got really close, over the past few months. So, looking forward to seeing the reunion of Green Goblin and Spider-Man, and, them hopefully having a chat, like, with his wife to, like, get her on the same page, and, like, so they can be, like, proper allies. And what a team they are going to make. Spider-Man is building up quite a supporting cast in this book. And finally, Spider-Man will be involved in this again. Because I will say, one of the little complaints I've had, even though I've enjoyed every single bit of this ride, is that Spider-Man is sort of a side character in his own book. This book is called Ultimate Spider-Man, and most of the time we focus on, like, Richard, or Ben, or J. Jonah Jameson, or Harry and Gwen, which all fantastic characters. So I enjoy it. Like, it helps to, like, weave this world together. But man, this is called Ultimate Spider-Man. I want more Pete, dude. But it looks like we'll be getting that with issue 18. So no complaints here. Really enjoyed it. But it was not quite my book of the week. My comic of the week, of course, is Absolute Wonder Woman, issue number 8. New arc starts here, folks. This is the apparently going to be the Labyrinth storyline, and the dynamic duo returns. The original creative team of Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman are back. Now, granted, I really did like the artist that was on the previous arc, so big shout out to them. You did great. But Hayden Sherman on this book just feels absolutely right. And we get the introduction of Absolute Dr. Poison in this. Finally, we're fleshing out Wonder Woman's Rogues Gallery, which is honestly something DC often forgets to do. I see Tom King is doing his thing over there, trying to, not only flesh out her old Rogues Gallery, but create new memorable ones as well. I honestly need to get on Tom King Wonder Woman. I've heard really good things about it. But we'll have to wait and see. I'll probably pick up some trades later. But back to this. This is really cool. We get to kind of establish more Wonder Woman supporting cast, and her trying to, like, just kind of figure things out. After the Tetracide attack, she also starts to hear sounds that are very similar to the Tetracide, so she goes to investigate, which is where she ends up running into Dr. Poison, who we find out is working for, of course, Veronica Cale, who is, for all intents and purposes, like, this is a very, very much an oversimplification, but she's like the Lex Luthor for Wonder Woman, like, her evil businesswoman, like, string-pulling CEO type, sometimes also works for the government. That's her villain, and she's basically kind of been blackmailing Dr. Poison, kind of keeping her locked up. Dr. Poison in this kind of reminds me of the, like, one character of Hellboy that is, like, entirely a gaseous form contained in a suit. Like a man turned into, like, a full gas form contained in a suit, because that's basically what Dr. Poison is. She's, like, all poison gas contained in a, like, complicated hazmat suit thingy. So that's really interesting. But the end cliffhanger is what really got me. Is Poison basically, comes to Diana with information, and she's like, I know where you can find an Amazon. And I'm like, whoa, what? Because the whole thing, right, for Absolute Wonder Woman, is that Diana is the last of the Amazons, and the Amazons were banished to parts unknown due to their misdeeds against the gods. So now, to find out that Diana can find another Amazon, that's huge. Is it a trap? Probably. Will there be another Amazon? Who knows? Will this be the introduction of Absolute Donna Troy? I mean, we have Wally West now, so, like, teenage characters are on the table. So Absolute Donna Troy? Absolute Cassie Sandsmark? Maybe even Absolute Yara Flor? Maybe Yara Flor will actually get a chance to thrive in the Absolute universe? Who knows? I actually do really like Yara Flor as a concept. I really think that was a cool idea. that didn't really get a chance to go anywhere because it was connected to a doomed, dumb concept. But who knows? Maybe it'll get fleshed out here. But I would more so like to see Donna Troy or Cassie Sandsmark. So here's hoping. I can't wait to see where this new story goes. Absolute Wonder Woman continues to be my favorite book of the Absolute line, and it kicks so much ass. Can't wait to see more. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this week's episode of Comic Chaser. So let me know all your thoughts and feels about these different comic books in the comments down below, as well as your thoughts about the Marvel DC crossover, Batman and Deadpool in the comments as well. Don't forget to do all the usual YouTube things. Leave this video a like and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any brand new episodes of Comic Chaser or any brand new episodes of the Channel Chasers podcast. Our next episode, I believe, is by the time you guys are seeing this, will be our Blood of Zeus episode coming out. So definitely look forward to that. It's our final season coverage because it is the third and final season of Blood of Zeus. If you're into Greek mythology as much as I am, as much as you've heard me yap about Absolute Wonder Woman, you'll definitely want to check out Blood of Zeus and hear our thoughts about it as well. So, do all those things, check all that stuff out, and until next time, I'll catch you later. Peace.